50 years ago, the United States Air Force was called upon to fly food and other supplies into Soviet bloc Berlin. This was the Air Force's first effort at a diplomatic mission, and it was a complete success. The U.S. and its European allies airlifted enough supplies to sustain West Berlin's 2 million people for more than a year. This mission showed the Soviet Union the power and coordination of the United States military. They were forced to end their blockade.
Good evening. Troops from the U.S. and the Persian Gulf state of Qatar are conducting military exercises. Qatari officials say the 12 days of maneuvers are designed to help the country improve its defense capabilities. Qatar has agreed to allow the U.S. to station military planes on its territory. The foundation of the ever-evolving military is the application of lessons learned. Gail McCabe reports from Kuwait on how the desert is an excellent classroom.
Operation Southern Watch proves the Army is listening to itself. In a spectacular feat of execution, a brigade's worth of ground forces deployed halfway around the world and equipped themselves for battle, all in a matter of days.
Probably the best one I've ever been on. Definitely the fastest I've ever been on.
One tool enabling such a successful and rapid force projection is a war chest of combat equipment already on the ground, primed and ready for use.
Don't have to go through taking our stuff off the posts like we normally would have to. It's a lot quicker for us.
Southern Watch can't help but be compared to Desert Storm. Same area, same enemy. And although the current array of forces put into place is smaller than 7 years ago, their combat potential can be perceived to be just as great.
We're able to get a lot of troops on the ground quickly, marry them up with pre-positioned equipment and ammunition, and get them out into a theater of operations very, very quickly to do what it is we have to do.
What is happening here is the application of lessons learned. The realization that while the enemy may stay constant, response times are shorter.
Everything comes together, and I just do my job.
And for the soldier on the ground, where all instruction undergoes its ultimate test, the adjustments being exercised during this operation are the outline for tomorrow's lessons. Gail McCabe, Kuwait.
With the end of the Cold War, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization had to make changes. In the fitting words of the late NATO Secretary General Manfred Warner, the collapse of the Soviet Union has left us with a paradox. There's less threat, but also less peace. Manfred Warner was NATO Secretary General from 1988 until his death from cancer 6 years later. It was during this time that NATO began to usher in an era of partnership for peace. Air Force Sergeant David Poland has the latest on NATO expansion.
Today, there are 27 partnership nations, and most all of them can be found at the NATO headquarters in Brussels, with 16 member nations already entrenched at the headquarters and 3 more on the way. Office space has become a premium. Enter in the Manfred Werner building, an office building that will house 20 partnership nations. The building is being leased from a neighboring computer company and resides right alongside the NATO compound. The doors officially opened during a dedication ceremony with the current Secretary General, Javier Solana, and Elfriede Werner, the widow of former NATO Chief Manfred Werner.
His idea is living over his life, so I think it's a very, very good idea, and I like it very much because it's a very touching moment for me.
NATO spokesman Jamie Shia says the added office space will only serve as a stopgap.
We have taken a lease for 3 years initially because, as you know, we're also looking at the possibility of creating a totally new headquarters for NATO, not just for our partners, but for all of NATO. Options are being studied at the moment. This is a multi-million-dollar project, and the hope is that when we finally build a new building, then our partners can be integrated in that new building. So the whole NATO family, members and partners, in the future will be together in one building.
The new partnership building and the possibility of a completely new NATO headquarters are all adding to the new face of NATO, something Manfred Werner began almost a decade ago. Air Force Sergeant David Pullen, AFN News.
We turn our attention now to Guinea, West Africa, site of this year's exercise Medflag 98. 1 out of 4 children born in Guinea this year won't live to see the age of 5. The faces behind that statistic became well known to the members of the Medflag team as they carried out their mission of delivering medical care in remote regions. AFN's Lon Blair brings us the story of a baby with a bleak future.
Like mothers everywhere, Fatama Kamara has dreams for her child. Fatama hopes her little girl will grow up, move to the city, and get a good job. Chances are, however, those dreams will never be realized. She's brought her daughter to the Medflag clinic today because the baby can't walk. Unfortunately, that's the least of her problems.
I think she's blind as well, isn't she?
The baby is suffering from hydrocephalus.
In layman's terms, water on the brain, and that's why her head's so large. That's also the reason why she hasn't grown, and it's the reason why she's not walking. She's got brain damage.
The best doctors and the best Western hospitals might be able to extend her life into adolescence. But in Guinea, the prognosis is even bleaker.
I don't think she'll live until she's 5, possibly. I don't think she'll see.
The best the team can do is give mother and child some vitamins and some words of encouragement.
She's a special baby, and she needs special care. She's failing to thrive.
In spite of what the doctors just told her, Fatama still holds out hope for her daughter. Maybe that's because in Guinea, hope is all she has. Lon Blair, AFN News.
Growing up in the military, children often get to experience things other kids may only get to read about. April is the month of the military child, and the community in Hohenfels, Germany, threw a party for all ages to celebrate. Army Private Ann Patrick reports.
Life as a military child may not be easy, but that doesn't mean it can't be rewarding and fun as well.
We give the children the foundation that is so important in early years, that they grow up to become those professionals that we are now. People like artists, like athletes, doctors. All these children can become that at some point, and I believe it's very, very important that we give them that foundation.
Kids in the military face the same growing pains as most normal youngsters, but they also contend with the rootless existence that is military life.
Dad was in the military 20 years. I know how it is to move from community to community, to leave friends.
Today's celebration is a shining example of the success people like Yuta and Andre achieve in fostering a sense of belonging for military children. Reporting from Hohenfels, Germany, Private Ann Patrick, AFN News.
That's the AFN Late Edition. Thanks for joining us. Good night.
Congratulations to the academic team from Ramstein High School in Germany. They won first place in the annual Interscholastic Academic Games.
If you're planning a trip to Rome, the USO can help with hotels, tours, and much more. Call the civilian number before you go. You'll see why the Rome USO should be your first stop in the Eternal City.
When traveling abroad, you'll want to exercise a reasonable amount of caution at your hotel, beginning when you check in. Give general answers to questions without offering information about yourself or your plans. When you're in public areas, maintain an awareness of your surroundings. When in your room, if someone knocks, always find out. When you're out in the town, hang on to your room key. Just use common sense and have a nice vacation.